Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. It's that time of year where it's time to start getting all these beautiful summer flowering bulbs cleared up out of my Zone 3 garden and put away for the winter. So today I'm working on my cannas. Cannas are a gorgeous flowering plant. They attract hummingbirds and I love to have them in my garden. I plant them up all over the place, but they do need to get lifted up and put away. So I'm going to get some of them packed away for the winter like I always do, so that I can make sure that I still have lots for next year. So let me show you how I do it. It's a very simple process to put your cannas away for the winter. You want to wait until you've had some cool fall weather, usually a couple of good frosts, and your foliage will start to die back. Now I've cut mine back, but it'll start to age and not look as nice. Sometimes it'll turn right black if it's had a hard frost, and that's okay. I usually don't have that happen here before I'm ready to put things away for the winter. But then I cut them back. You cut the stems back. You want to leave some so they can dry out a little bit and the moisture is not all right completely at the rhizome. And then you just need to get them out of the soil, and that's the hardest part. Canna bulbs grow quite quickly. You can leave them in the containers over the winter, but I find quite often if you leave them in for the next season, they'll crack the pot because they grow so quickly and aggressively. So I just want to get some of the soil out of this pot and find my way to the canna without damaging the bulb. And that sometimes is easier said than done. I have a lot of roots from other plants that were in here this year. Sometimes the easiest thing is if you can get it to dump out, to just dump it right out. So now I have my ball of soil, and there's those canna roots. This is what we're after. So you just want to break away as much of the soil as you can. You don't need to worry about saving the roots intact. You just want that rhizome or bulb type part. It's actually a modified root. It stores the energy for the plant over the winter when it goes dormant. So there, that's what you're looking for. You don't want to wash these off, and you don't need to get all the soil completely cleared off. In fact, I find personally that it works best to have some of the soil left around it because you don't want these to dry out in storage. So I'm going to get the rest of these out of their pots, and then I'll show you what I do with them after that. Okay, so I've got them all dug out of their pots, and really that's the most difficult part as far as I'm concerned of storing these. So what I like to do is just go around and trim off the long scraggly roots. They're not going to help you out any in the storage process, and I've found that they can occasionally encourage, that's where if you're going to get some mold kind of developing, that seems to be where it starts, is on these skinny little roots. So I just cut them back, and they're not going to be the roots you would use that the plant's going to grow from next year anyway, so it'll grow new roots, so they're not important at all. I'm going to take this leaf too, so I just have stem. Any dried up leaves around the edges there. Okay, so now I'm just left with the rhizome few little bits of roots that are in the dirt, and these little bits of stem here. Now, cannas want to be kept somewhere dark and cool, and they would like to have a little bit of damp. Now, normally I like to store them in vermiculite or even peat moss, but I was having trouble getting my hands on that this year, so I've gone for some pine shavings, just from the pet supply section of the store, and I'm just going to pop them in there. Now, all of my cannas are the same canna. They're just, I don't know, they're red, and I've lost the exact name. But if you have different varieties that you're trying to save, you might want to take a label, put a hole through it if it doesn't have one, get a piece of wire, put the wire right through the stem. It won't hurt anything. Again, this stem's going to shrivel up and die back. It's not going to be something you use next year. And just wire it right to the stem and do it quite tightly, because again, it's going to shrivel up. Don't put it through the actual rhizome. And then you'll have your plants labeled when you pull them out in the spring, and you'll know exactly what they are. Or else keep them in separate buckets and put a label in each bucket. So you just need to cut these off. You can dust them with some a bulb fungicide. I think sulfur is one you can use. If I'm using a fungicide on my bulbs, I usually just use cinnamon. Cinnamon's great for that. These have been really healthy all year. They're not sitting overly damp. It's been a really dry fall, so I'm not too worried about that. It's not something I do regularly, just usually if we've had a really wet fall and they've been sitting in their kind of been in too wet a soil before I could get to them. So I'm just going to keep packing them in. I try to lay them a bit sideways if I can, just to help so that they're not collecting moisture down the edges there of the stem. I don't think it really matters. It's just something I tend to do. And I'm going to put them in here. These will go into storage once they're all in here. The preferred storage would be between like 3 and 10 degrees Celsius. Quite often mine gets up to 15. It's not an exact cold room or anything. It's just a cooler area that I can put them. I check on them once a month, and I just come in and I make sure that there's no mold growing anywhere. I just have a quick little dig around. There's no bugs accumulating in here. And if the rhizomes are starting to get dry and shriveled looking, then I'll just spritz them with a little bit of water. You don't want it wet. You just want kind of a humidity around them. So that's all that I will do with them. And then once it's about 6 to 8 weeks before your average last frost date, you can pull them right out of your cold storage. And you can, at that point, if you want to, you could divide them up. Like, these are very large clumps, so you just want to look for rhizomes that have eyes or sprouts starting off of them, and cut them so there's at least one of those on each section that you cut, and just use a sharp knife. Or sometimes you can even just kind of prise them apart with your fingers. The soil will kind of fall back. And at that point, if you need to wash the soil off a little bit, you can, because you're just going to be planting them again anyways. And then you just plant them up. Now, in our area, you need to plant them early like that to get a really good display through the summer. So it's too soon at 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost date to put them outside. So I start them inside, in a sunny window or under grow lights. Usually my grow lights are all full of vegetables and things by then, so I just set them in a south-facing window and I grow them there. You just want to I just put like a little bit of soil, and I barely moisten the soil, and I wait for growth to start, and then I will put a little bit more soil around them and cover them up, just to give them more stability as they grow. They don't really need to be completely buried. It just helps give them some stability so they don't blow over as easily. And that's all there is to packing your canna rhizomes away for the winter. So just clean off the big amounts of soil, the long scraggly roots, extra leaves, and then pack them into a medium that's going to retain some little bit of moisture and put them somewhere nice and cool, just not freezing. So I have one more here, and then I have a few more in other pots yet to get as well. So I'm just going to get them all done up and put away. So I hope this helps you to feel confident in storing your canna bulbs or tubers this winter so that you can pull them out and enjoy the same display again next year. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.